welcome back to the Matrix. You're not just in the Matrix, you are the Matrix. How's it feel, Neo? And today we got ourselves a banger daily market news analysis. What is up? What is up? How's everyone feeling out of 10? Let me know down in the comments down below. Make sure you guys are spamming that like button, hitting that share so other people can spam that like button. All right, guys, let's get into it. As of the time of recording, Bitcoin currently sitting at $89,727, and we are seeming to find the 5-hour 200 moving as support. Now, by the next 3-day close, we want to be above this, okay? But as of right now, we're still fully bullish, and this is a higher high and a breakout back test of the prior range. If we start getting into the $85,000 range, that to me would be really good evidence of getting into the spring. But as of right now, this is just a back test of the prior range. And the funny thing is, like when we went from 97 back down to 87, people were speaking 87.9. Let me be clear. People were speaking on Bitcoin as though it had made a new low already, as though we were at 70K. But in reality, this is just this is the fourth higher low, and this is the third higher high. So until something different happens with it, that's what it is. We're just going to let this thing play out. And I expect the pivot to start to really pick itself up. Especially because, again, we have talked about this again and again and again and again ad nauseum. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The Russell put in a new high again. In my opinion, we're not going to beat a dead horse with this. But the Russell putting in a new high. We're firmly in price discovery. And in my opinion, we are probably about right here, right? So firmly new high. Nothing crazy just yet, but a firm new high for sure. And I want to show you real quick where the altcoins were when that happened, right? So on the top is the Russell. On the bottom is the total 3. And you can see the new all-time high was right here. We'll line this up perfectly. Boom. New all-time high was here. Then you can see I'm saying that we're about right there. Where do you see about the altcoins? Bear market lows still, okay? So it wasn't until we got into the buying climax that things started to really heat up. But this is the point. If this is true, if this is correct, what I think it is, what I think this means, this is firmly into price discovery and we're about to go into distribution. I think that 2026 is going to catch people wrong-footed in the worst possible way. Flagpole analysis are calling for 26 Bitcoin now. Yeah, 26 Bitcoin. Sure. I'll sell everything. I'll sell my house. I'll sell my truck. I'll sell my car. I'll buy 17 Bitcoin. Okay, if that happens. I hope it does. Fear and greed currently sitting at, it's not happening. Fear and greed currently sitting at 24. Yesterday was at 20 after last week being in neutral. On this episode of Price Go Up, we feel great. Price go down, we feel bad. When it goes down, we feel bad. Not good. Bad. It's crazy how that how that interacts. Day after day after day, we just see this being true. What CoinMarketCap has it at 34. So a little bit more bullish from them, but still pretty in the fearful after being in neutral/greed. For the first time after getting all the way down to a record low for them, which was 10. 10, brethren. 10. Do you understand the April lows was 17? 10 is what we got down to on the November bottom. Still bull run. Sure, bro. Like it's a run. It's gonna be a run. How about that? I'm not calling bull run, bear market. I'm not calling any of that. I'm saying that Bitcoin is in Wyckoff accumulation. It might get a spring to 75K, and the Russell is in an all-time high. That's what I'm saying. Okay. You have not heard me talk about 4-year cycle. You haven't heard me talk about bull run, bear market, none of that nonsense. The only thing I'm talking about is what the projection of the price is right now versus what it did when previous things happened in this interaction. That's it. You're watching other content creators and then lumping me in them, and there is no one further from other content creators than me. Solnick, please. Solnick. Price prediction still the same. We went to $8, by the way, and you can buy Solnick on Coinbase now. You can buy Solnick on Coinbase now. I said we would do it. We did it. We went to $8.88. Now, we got to fill that wick out. But what's it looking like on the daily chart, on the 5-hour chart? It's looking beautiful. I saw someone in the group said that Solnick was their highest performing bag over the last 28 days. You love to see it. We put in multiple higher highs at this point. On the 5-hour chart, we have flipped completely bullish. We put in multiple higher lows. We put in multiple higher highs. This, to me, was your spring. You have your selling climax, secondary test, and your spring. This is your SOS, flipping bullish, and we're working diligently on our plan. So I fully expect us to get into price discovery, and I fully expect us to fill this wick out sooner or later. You can see it all the way up there at 30, not 30 cents, not 50 cents, not 6 cents, not $1. Not $1.50, not $2, not $3, not $4, not $5, not $5.89. Where did we get to? We got all the way to $8.88. So we're gonna fill that wick out, and we're gonna get a good distribution up there at $8.88. But that's where we wicked to. Now we got to fill it out. And we're gonna start by putting in higher highs and higher lows, and we're gonna continue to DCA every single week. Now you can buy it on Coinbase. Bought some on Coinbase yesterday. Let's go. Was anyone able to cash out ski $8? No, I don't think so. It was more of a liquidity glitch sort of thing. This wasn't, the real price, but it did really get there. It did really get there. So I'm saying we're going to fill that out now. All right. 1 wick. Coin, you'd say that is a scam? No, I wouldn't. I'd say I don't count this. I'm not counting this as a real price. This has nothing to do with my analysis. Bro, if you're going to hate, just go somewhere else. Like, why are you even watching me, bro? You want to be mad at someone because your portfolio hasn't done how you want it to be? Sure. You can be mad at me. You can be mad at me. Sure, bro. You was giving me my flowers in 2024. You get one thing wrong, and now all of a sudden it's, what have you done for me lately, Ski? People forget real quick. People forget real quick who the you are. What have you done for me lately, Ski? If you get one thing wrong, you got everything wrong. Even if you're accountable, even if you shave your beard. Bro woke up and chose violence for no reason. You just want to be mad at somebody? Go ahead, bro. Sure. I'm the reason that you haven't reached your goals. I'm the reason that you haven't succeeded. Sure. Alt season after Russell tops. Yes, that is the one thing that has not happened. And I've said it once. I've said it 100 times. This is macro analysis. I'm not calling for it tomorrow. I'm not calling for it for next week. I'm not even saying next month. I'm not saying any of that. But the one thing that has not taken place this time around, and I've said it once, I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it again. The Russell in 2017 went into price discovery. The Russell in 2021 went into price discovery and distribution. The Russell has not in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. None of those years did the Russell go into price discovery and distribution. It hasn't happened yet. But I see us on track for that happening because I have this fractal. That doesn't mean that we're going to follow it perfectly forever. It doesn't mean we're going to do exactly like this. But as of right now, we are doing that. And until we break from this fractal, I'm going to keep referring to it. And this fractal is from 2021 when we broke out and went into price discovery. And we're following from the C19 crash till the buying climax. And this was the distribution right here. We are following candle for candle for candle from the tariff crash. Every higher high that you can see here. Every higher low that you can see here. Higher high, higher high, higher low, breakouts into price discovery. So we're pretty early into this. And I showed it earlier. It's still early. Like, let's talk about, like, I'm not giving you a time map, right? But I just want to show you what I'm saying here is I'm not telling you that it's going to happen this exact same time again. But let's show you at the same point in time. So this was December of 2020. December 4th of 2020. That's basically structurally where I think that we're at on the Russell. So where was the altcoins during that time? Bear market lows, absolutely dead, putridly dead. Okay, so we're still early into this. In fact, we didn't make a new all-time high from here until we made a new all-time high 2-3 months later. So we'll see. We will see. VeChain. I still like VeChain. It says we chop till April, then take off. You're welcome. Maybe. Everyone was saying we got to go to 50K, though. That's what they were saying last week. People aren't so confident with that. Last month, people were saying we got to go to 70K. We got to go to 50K. Then we'll take off. Not so confident now. Do you think we get a spring in Bitcoin? That's not my base case, but I'm certainly open to the idea. Is it okay to still compare the Russell to last time precious metals weren't ripping like now? Gold went into price discovery last time. Gold made a new all-time high last time. Silver did not. But if anything, I think that means it's more rotation. Is anybody buying silver right now? If you're buying silver right now, genuinely, I think you're a fool. I genuinely think you are a fool if you're buying silver right now. I sold some more of my silver. $99. $78 was my first target. We stalled out there. My second target is 107. It looks like that's what we're going to get. This is pure euphoria at this point. This is a clear bearish divergence. This is going to be like, this has to go somewhere. Check it out. People are going to take profit. Where do you think it's going to go? It's got to go somewhere. This is not sustainable. This looks like a meme coin at this point. So is it fair to compare the Russell because precious metals are breaking out? So gold broke out in 2020. To me, that tells me there's more liquidity to flow. Because where does liquidity come from? It comes from distribution of one asset to another. When did the Russell start breaking out? In 2020. When gold was distributing. Okay, so what are we seeing? Gold and silver are distributing. What are we seeing from the Russell? It's starting to break out. In 2020, gold distributed as the Russell started to break out. Simultaneously, they were happening at the same time. Now, silver is a different variable, sure. But that means more liquidity. Where does liquidity come from? Does it come from people making more money because they're not broke anymore? No. Liquidity comes from the distribution of one asset to another. Period. This guy, it's just redraw the lines again. You're not just dumb, you're stupid. From our friend Cat in the Hat. The dumbest person on TikTok award goes to... My man's back with a vengeance. I proved him wrong last time, and he's here again with his 79 IQ. Talking about I do things retroactively. I proved him wrong last time, and here he is again. 72 IQ. Silver's price is higher than my man's IQ. You hate to see it. Rose snapping. Price prediction. Silver next, 108. I think so. 107 is my target. My first target was 78. My next target is 107. Where do I get those targets from? Where do I get those targets from? The 1618, the 2618. It's as simple as that. Fibonacci's don't lie. Shakira. Fibonacci's don't lie. That's a 2618. Is it possible we get to 3618? That would be crazy. I don't think so, though. It is possible, though, because this has been repressed for 50 years. I don't want to act like it's possible. I think it's going to happen in 2028, though, is what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to go, my prediction, and I could be wrong, but my prediction for silver is we go to 107, we get rejected, we come back to about 50, and then in 2028, it's going to make a plunge 240 plus or 200 plus. So let's just play that out. Let's say we go to 107, just like I think, and we're going to come back to $44, let's call it. The 2618 would have us at 207. The 3618 would have us at 269. That would be my target in 2028. Do you think we need a proper accumulation before new all-time high? Or just like a spring and Wyckoff? A spring and Wyckoff is a proper accumulation. So I think that we are getting a proper accumulation now in Bitcoin, right? This is a proper accumulation. This is longer. Okay, good. Okay, I like the question. See, questions are good. Not you, Siri. Go away. Go away. Commodity investors tend to rotate into crypto. Even if they rotate into the Russell stocks, it doesn't. They're going to rotate into something, right? I'm not necessarily predicting they're going to rotate into crypto. I think they're going to rotate into the Russell, which is going to go to full price discovery and distribution. And the Russell investors are going to rotate. Yes. I'm not necessarily predicting commodity investors are going into crypto. That's not what I'm predicting. But they are going into other assets, which will cause them to go into price discovery and distribution. All right. The question was, do you think we need a proper accumulation before new all-time high or just like a spring in Wyckoff? Okay. So this was the last proper accumulation we got. Not the, 2022 bear market, but this was proper accumulation, right? You have your selling climax right here. And then look, I'm going to show you too on the this was your selling climax. And then let's go on the daily chart here. You can see this. So your selling climax is this wick right here. Look at the RSI. Look how low this is on the daily. 22. Let me double check this on the 5 hour. Yeah, super low on the 5 hour. We got as low as 18. Let me go on the stochastic RSI here, not the Fibonacci candles. We got as low as 11. Right, so that's your selling climax. That's a proper Wyckoff accumulation happening right here. Okay, then you have your secondary test goes lower, but look at the RSI is higher. That's a bullish divergence. The volume is lower. The RSI is higher. The price goes lower. That's a bullish divergence. Secondary test in phase B, and then you have your spring. Same thing. RSI is higher. Volume is lower. Price is lower. That's proper accumulation. That's as proper as it gets. You don't need to have a spring, but that's a proper accumulation. Now, how long did that take? 53 days. We're already past that. We're already past that. Okay? We're at 62 days. So the time is already there. We're already gotten really deep. Look at this. We've already gotten super deep on the RSI. So we could get a spring, and that would just be the end of it. That would be the end of accumulation, in my opinion. Okay. Now this is, you could say recency bias, sure. This was 180 days of reaccumulation, and then the selling climax to the spring was. This was a bit longer, 150 days, and then before you rotated, put in a higher point than this liquidation was 230 days. So, your average is somewhere between, as far as time goes, 50 days on the lower end we've seen, and 230 days on the higher end, somewhere in there. But we're already past the lower, so we'll see where this wants to get to. That's a sexy chart. Rose prediction. Rose has been doing pretty good. So your thesis is it's not a bear flag, it's accumulation. 100%. Listen, 100%. I think worst case scenario, we get to 75K. This idea that we're getting to 25K is nonsense. This idea that we get below anything below 70K is nonsense. Show me a time when Bitcoin went lower than the previous high. Nonsense. Show me a time when Bitcoin went lower than the previous high. Not to mention, we have this whole cluster of trading. We have 60 days in the 80s. We have another 60 days in the 80s. Okay, that's a lot of support just right there. That's enough to hold you. You have 220 days in the 60s and 70s. And you have 220 days in the 60s and 70s. That's a strong wall. All right? There's not going to be a we bust through this and then it's off to Neverland. Like, that's ridiculous. This idea, listen, the last time Bitcoin was at 30K, there was no BlackRock. The inflation on Bitcoin was double. There was no Bitcoin ETFs. There was no governments buying Bitcoin. There was no institutional buying power. And the inflation was double. World War III was on the brink of the doorstep. FTX had just went to zero. Luna had just went to zero. So what the hell is it going to take? The inflation, price equals supply plus demand, was double with half of the buying pressure. If half, probably a fifth of the buying pressure, and the inflation was double. This idea that we are getting below 70K is lunacy. Show me a time where Bitcoin took out the previous all-time high. Doesn't exist. Do you think? Yes, I do think VeChain will pass 10 cents. Bears are clinging to bear flag pattern we're in. Yeah, listen, it's pattern. I've talked about this, I don't know how many times, but I'll say it once again. When you're analyzing the market, I'm sorry if this offends you, but I'm not sorry. I'm here to give you the truth serum, whether you like it or not. I don't care. The lowest level of analyzing is patterns. It is the lowest level. I never make decisions off of patterns. Now, do I use patterns? Yes, I will use a pattern. Let me show you how I think the proper way to use a pattern is if you're back testing it with as a tertiary piece of evidence. So if you want to say we're in Wyckoff distribution, the RSI is super overheated, macroeconomic events are causing X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. And in addition to that, yes, we have a bear flag. Sure. Tertiary evidence is as high as you can put a pattern. Because you know who doesn't use patterns? BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity. The real players are not using patterns. Show me a billionaire that uses patterns. What if USA attacks Iran in 10 days? Okay, bro. That's the bottom then. That's the spring. That's what that means. Let me show you the last war. Here's the tariff war. That was the spring. That was the bottom. Here's the 9/11 war in Israel. That was the spring. That was the bottom. Okay, here's the Ukraine war. That was the local bottom. That's what that means. That means we're getting a spring and the bottom's in. That's what that means. If they attack in 10 days, that means we're getting a spring and the bottom is in. That's what that means. It doesn't mean we go lower. When the scariest event happens, it means the bottom is in. Period. It's pure manipulation. It's a false bear flag. whether it's a true one or not, I still think bear flags is the lowest level of analyzing the market. Will silver keep going up? 107. Or is it a strong possibility? All right, let's read some of the TikToks. And Celsius and Voyager went to 0. Yeah, Celsius, Voyager, the last time. Listen, this is how crazy. Like, just think about this practically. Like, throw TA out the window. Throw technical analysis out the window. Throw fundamental analysis out the window. Right? Anyone have, like, a spouse? And sometimes they start catastrophizing, and you just gotta ground them to 0. You gotta ground them and say, okay, what's the craziest possible thing that could possibly happen? Not even in the realm of possibility, just the most outlandish thing that could happen. And then what's the most outlandishly positive thing that could happen? Okay. Now, what is the practical likely outcome here? So let me ground you guys into reality here for a second. And throw TA out the window, throw fundamental analysis out the window, throw any sort of analysis out the window, and let's just think through this practically. No hope, no hype, just as brass tacks as you can get. Of like how silly a 30K target for the bear flag experts is. Okay, so let's think about the last time Bitcoin was 30K. Number one, inflation on Bitcoin was double. There was 2 times the amount of Satoshis being dumped on the market per day that there are right now. Right there is enough. We don't need to go any further. That is enough, because the most important thing is price equals supply. This thing. Plus demand. Okay, let's talk about the demand. There was no BlackRock. Jesus. There was no ETFs. There was no Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab. None of that existed. The last time Bitcoin was 30K. There was no institutional buying power. There was no Texas Federal Reserve. There was no, none of that stuff. Strategic Reserve, Bitcoin Reserve. How many states have a strategic Bitcoin Reserve now? That did not exist the last time Bitcoin was at 30K. You couldn't buy Bitcoin in your retirement the last time Bitcoin was at 30K. And what else? What about the demand? What else about the demand? All right, FTX went to 0. Voyager went to 0. Celsius went to 0. BlockFi went to 0. Luna went to 0. All of these things combined, the war in Israel had just kicked off. All of these things combined had us at 30K. What the hell is getting us there this time? I need you to just throw TA out the window. Throw fundamental analysis out the window. The last time Bitcoin was at 30K, that was what was happening. The war in Israel. BlockFi went to 0. Celsius went to 0. Voyager went to 0. Luna went to 0. FTX went to 0. There was no BlackRock. There was no ETFs. There was no Vanguard. There was none of that stuff. There was no Bitcoin strategic reserves. There was no governments buying Bitcoin. There was no institutional buying pressure. The inflation on Bitcoin was double, and we were still only at 30K. What the hell is it going to take? Get your head out of your ass and think about it practically and logically. Stop buying all this fear porn and just think through it logically. Just think about it logically. All right. Have you taken Fractal from 2011, 2022, double top, overlay, 2025, same flag? We got told off. Says, damn, these are the trenches for sure. Been a tough year. That's why you guys are called the Savages. If you're still here, if you still have not capitulated, whether it's because you're smart, whether it's because you're stubborn, whether it's because you're a fool, it doesn't matter. If you're still here now, you haven't gave up. You haven't gotten shiny object syndrome. You haven't panic sold. You are a savage. You are the future 1%. You have what it takes. You cannot be shook. Now it's a game of attrition. It's a game of attrition. Patience. 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 Is a game. The game is the transfer of wealth from the hands of the patient into the hands of the impatient. From the impatient into the patient. Okay, that is the game. That is the game. All right, Rose prediction. I don't think my Rose prediction is any different. Rose is looking good, though. Rose and Dynex are a couple of coins that I talked about way too early, truthfully, but finally starting to come around full circle. By the way, running a sale right now in my Telegram. You can get lifetime access. You guys can DM me. We do live trading every Monday through Friday. I put out my calls, sells. So if you guys are interested in that, sharpening your trading, hit me in the DMs for that. Yeah, Rose is looking good. We had this 10-10 crash over here. We came down. We filled it out completely. And now on the 5-hour chart, we have flipped bullish for the first time since November of 2024 was the last time we flipped bullish. So that's a big deal. Now we do need to clear this. 190 million market cap. The height that we've gotten so far is 170. But look at that volume. Look at that beautiful volume coming in. Oh, look at that volume. Mamma mia. It brings a tear to my eye. Look at that beautiful volume coming in. What does that tell us? That tells us this is a real move. That tells us this ain't smoke. There's fire to this smoke. That tells us there's fire to this smoke. Okay. Jeez. I bought 1 kilo of silver a month ago for $2,000. Nice. He says, hey, you selling silver. I remember you saying you were heavily invested, or is it a long hold? It is a long hold, but I have sold 70% of my silver. And I'm probably going to sell some more. And that's the good thing. And like, listen, this is a lesson to take away. Like, if you're heavily in crypto, I do think, not right now because it's red hot, but when it pulls back and cools off, I think silver has a place in your portfolio. Like for me, for example, 2025 didn't do what I thought it was going to do or what I wanted it to do. And some things pulled back, and I was down on some things, even though my average price on XRP is 30 cents. My average price on Bitcoin is 5K. But I was down on the year on some things from the top of 2025. And it didn't do what I wanted it to do. But my whole portfolio was propped up by silver. And what you'll find is they trade anti to one another. So yes, I've already sold 70% of my silver. I'm probably going to sell some more here soon. Cause it's just red hot, and I love silver. It's one of my favorite things to buy, but I'm not a fool to know that that's parabolic. I've been buying silver for, I don't know, 8-9 years consecutively, like week after week. I love buying silver. It's my favorite. But I'm not a fool to think that that's not parabolic. I'm not a fool to think what comes up must come down. Regardless of any nonsense they tell us about, oh, but they need it for manufacturing. Like, as if they weren't manufacturing shit 5 months ago. Like, was the manufacturing cut off 6 months ago? I'm confused. Is there a point they stop buying silver back from you? Even my guy doesn't give me the price anymore. Yeah, I'm interested in silver at $50 again. I bought puts on silver. Yeah, I'm interested in buying back silver at $50. I have no interest in buying silver at these prices. None. Zero. They have mined 90% of the silver in the world. According to who? The inflation on silver is 4.5%. The inflation on gold is 1.8%. Guess where that 2% target comes from? According to who? They have mined. Who told you that? They find 4.5% of silver every year. The inflation on silver is 4.5%. Silver has a perfect supply and demand. Let me show you how this works. The average inflation on silver is 4.5%. Does that mean they're printing it? No, it means that there are miners. This is my fancy truck here. Wow, that looks like a turtle. We're gonna pretend like this is a dump truck full of silver. Okay. We're gonna pretend like this is a dump truck full of silver. Okay. So the more the price goes up on silver, the more people mine silver. It goes up more. There are more miners mining silver. Okay, and then what do? What does that cause? That causes the supply, there to be an influx of supply, which then causes the price to go back down and eventually causes the miners to go away. That's how that works. It has a perfect balance. It has a perfect balance. There is a perfect market balance in silver, and it will rebalance itself again. Because the more the price goes up, the more miners there are dumping the supply. The more that they dump the supply, the more the price is going to come back down. Okay, so you think for a second that there's not miners looking at the price of silver thinking that they're about to get rich mining, like, duh. The inflation on silver is 4.5%. My made-up philosophy sounds better. Okay, bro. I respect it. I respect it. Ski, does the altcoin run after the Russell run way or all-time high to have... My God, hold on. Ski, let me try this one more time. Ooh, my God. I think I almost had an aneurysm. Ski, does altcoin run after Russell run halfway to all-time high, or it have to be Russell in distribution? Let's talk. Let's just show the facts, okay? Things got crazy after the distribution started. To answer it simply and quickly, but we're just going to show it. Okay. Here's the all-time high. Here's the start of distribution. Here's the end of distribution. Okay, this is the end of distribution. This is the start of distribution. This is the all-time high. Those are going to be the three key points that we're going to look at. Okay. The all-time high, the start of distribution, the end of distribution. All right. We're going to call it phase 1, all-time high. Phase 2, buy and climb max, start of distribution. Phase 3, UTAD, end of distribution. Okay? That's how we're going to look at things. Let me show others. All right, so I have the total 3. Total 3 is everything that is not, all of the cryptos that are not Bitcoin and Ethereum. Basically, all the altcoins. When people talk about altcoins, this is what they're talking about. Mostly. Okay. So, again, and I'll show it with others too. Others would be a good example too, because that's all the stuff out of the top 10. We'll do the same little exercise here. So, phase 1, Russell is at an all-time high. That is bear market lows. Okay, absolutely putridly bear market lows. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see that I'm telling the truth. Bear market lows. The dev rug, Ski. We're cooked. Pack it up. See you in 4 years. There's a bear flag. Bear flag, head and shoulders. Pack it up. See you in 4 years. That's what it looked like when the Russell made an all-time high. This is the same date. You can see it scrolling together. As I scroll on top, it scrolls together. These are the same dates. Russell puts in a new all-time high November of 2020. putridly low for the altcoins. Okay. Now, from the all-time high to phase 2, which is the buying climax, we definitely had a run here. This is significant. This is about a 2x. Okay? That's not nothing. Like, say I in the chat right now if you'd be happy with the 2x. Silver's going to 589. Damn it! I should have known better. All right. Put I in the chat if you'd be happy with the 2x right now. Okay. Now, from the buying climax to the UTAD, you can see that was most of the run. Okay. Now, it did heat up as the Russell was picking up from the all-time high to the buying climax. You can clearly see there was definitely a run happening. So it's not like nothing's going to happen. I do think things are going to heat up here. I don't necessarily think, I'm not predicting a 2x necessarily because there's going to be diminishing returns, but something like this is going to pick up during this time here. But it was from the buying climax to the UTAD. That's when it was like the real run. Okay. The real deal run. And we could see, you know, that itself was about another 3.5x. So, but realistically, you know, you want to be having it now. 50x. Some things will. How long from all-time high to buying climax? The all-time high was November of 20. The buying climax was March of 21. So 85 days. Solnick, you can now buy on Coinbase. All right, we'll do Solnick is my number one 100x play. Period. Also, I've been quietly stacking my disc bag, which you can also buy on Coinbase as well now. All right. Let's do others, which is everything outside the top 10. We'll show the same thing. If I can find it. Jesus. Okay. Others was even worse. Like with the all-time high, it was even more putridly low than even the total 3, right? A lot of the same thing. But you clearly started as, you know, as you start getting to like the breakout into the buying climax, you definitely start to ramp up here. We start to get in higher highs and higher lows here. You know, this is a significant pullback. It's not like there's no red days. Like I want to have everyone's expectation be correct here. Like even in the, you know, higher highs and higher lows, like what do we see here? This little pullback right here, this little piggy is a 25% pullback. And this little piggy went down 28%. Okay. Right. So the uptrend, there was significant pullbacks there. As we start to heat up, this is definitely an uptrend though, right? But I just want to have your mind correct, right? Because the 25% pullback, you're thinking, what the hell? Ski? Russell's at an all-time high. I already know some of y'all are going to be pissed. Some of y'all are about to be pissed, bro. I'm telling you right now. What we have? All-time high right here. How many 20% pullbacks did it have as it was basically starting to be vertical? Here's one. The 27%. Here's one. 27%. Here's one. 17%. Here's one. 17%. And then this was 25% again. Like, y'all about to be pissed, bro. Ski! Damn it! All right, let me put this back to November of 20. Same date here. Okay, this is the all-time high. Putridly low, starting to heat up. Starting to put in higher highs and higher lows. And then the buying climax was a significant run. That was a clear breakout. This was into price discovery. This was about a 4x out of others. Okay? So that'd be beautiful. I'd be pumped with 4x right now. For sure. How you feeling about Theta? I feel good about Theta. So where and when to enter or exit? The whole thesis is because the Russell is now in price discovery, and we're showing where the altcoins were at. The previous all-time high when the Russell was in price discovery. Absolutely dead, bear market low. Here we are, ripping out. You can buy it on Coin. How do I buy Dr. Dis? You can buy it on Coinbase. You can buy it on Coinbase. All right. LCX. So there you go. We'll see. Like, let's see how it's looking right now. This would be about the point when we should start to see, oh, how happy day. I don't know. How about higher highs and higher lows? Did we have 20% pullbacks? Yep. Did we just get one? We sure did. Do we have an uptrend here? We sure do. Okay? We sure do. Are we at the 236 bear market lows? Yep. Where were we at here? Oh, I don't know. How about the 236? Where was the total 3 at? How about the 236? Bear market lows. Putrid. Did we start making an uptrend? We sure did. Did we have significant crashes? Yes, we did. 20%, multiple. Do we have an uptrend? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay. He says, Mark X says, only Solnic I'm seeing on Coinbase is 14K market cap. That's not it. Is it? That is the base. That's only base. So that's about, I think, 2.5 or 5 million tokens. So all of those, of the 939 million tokens, 2.5 of them are worth that. So there you go. That's what that is. I bridged a long time ago. I bridged Solnic to base, and I used about 5 million tokens. So that is that. Some people can just buy Solana variation. Some people can only buy the base variation, but they're the same price. You're going to get the same price action. But that's the market cap of base alone. But it's the same price. If you look at the 0.00, it's going to be the same price per dollar. Right? So if you look right now, the price is 0.00182. It's going to be that. It's going to be the exact same. Going to be the exact same. But some people can just buy the Solana variation. Coinbase is still slowly rolling that out. But everybody can buy base. Some people can buy Solana. It's going to 60K, bro. Yes, I put my money where my mouth is. I'm in a short. Listen, I'll buy 60K. I don't think it's super likely. I don't think that there's a high probability of that. But I'm not mad at your 60K call. I'm not like laughing at your 60K call. The people that are saying 50K, 40K, 30K, I am laughing. 60K would be just more aggressive than what's happened in the past. It would be a bit more, about 10% more aggressive of what the worst of it was in the bear market. You repping 315 these days? I just hit 375. I just hit 375. You know what I'm saying, bro? I hit 375. A new PR. I just hit a new PR. Let me see if I can get this real quick. Yeah, I just hit a new PR yesterday, I think it was. Let's see. Here we go. Here's your boy. You see them 3 Cadillacs plus a quarter plus a 10? I think that's a 5 actually. Yep, buddy. 375. I'm the world's strongest crypto creator. It's not even close, bro. It's not even close, bro. It's not even close. You tell that to all your crypto friends. It ain't even close. He was hoping you would be mad. I think this is the guy who benches 370. Ha! He's a chico. Ah! They said it couldn't be done. They said it couldn't be done. They thought a mere mortal could never even think to accomplish. Ah! All right, guys. That's AI generated, bro. You're capping. I just showed the video. Bro is capping. All right, guys. I'm running the sale right now on the Telegram group. If you want to get lifetime access to that, we do live trading. I put out calls, buys, sells. There's books and an awesome community of like-minded people. Iron sharpening iron. If you guys are interested in that, hit me in the DMs. The sale is going to last for another couple of days. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be it this time. There's no live tomorrow with Alex. He's out of town, but I'll be live in the evening. So that's going to be it for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I will never message you first. Those are scammers, for the love of God. Do not get scammed. Peace, love, prosperity, God first. God bless.